All right, good morning, guys. Today we're going to be talking about why bulking sucks. More specifically, some of the pitfalls that occur most often when people are transitioning from a cut to a bulk, because you kind of get in one mindset, now you need to transfer into another. And it's not super common that people think of bulking as something that's difficult. Rather, they think of the actual cut as what's really tough to get through. So, first thing I want to talk about is the rebound. So when you stop cutting and you start bulking again, or when I say bulking, I'm talking anything ranging from a maintain, main gain, full on dreamer bulk, do whatever you want. But when you first make that transition, you have this like post cut window. Now a lot of guys, if you're enhanced, will take advantage of this because they understand that you can start pushing the food again pretty much right away, and your body will take advantage of that, and you kind of have this window where you can actually build a lot of muscle real quick. For natural guys, it's a lot less pronounced. So just understand that when you see some of these pros doing what they do post show, you won't be able to do that if you're natural and expect the same results. You can do it on a much smaller scale, but that being said, if you are lean enough that you're competing, if that's your thing, treat yourself, enjoy yourself after your show, no matter the results, because you suffered for a long time, and it's undoubtedly hard on everybody, natural or not, and you deserve a reward. That being said, you have to understand that it has repercussions, and you have to everything in moderation, essentially. So adding body fat's gonna be necessary, especially if you're getting show lean. You have to add body fat, especially if you're natural, because your body's actually going to start shutting down some of its normal processes, especially testosterone production. So natural hormone production is going to kind of tank. And this has been shown through quite a few studies where they've taken, some of them finally did a study where they actually took a competitor and measured their testosterone levels through a prep. And it was a pretty terrifying decrease. Towards the end of it, they were, past what would be considered a hypogonadal range. And that's understandable because your body is pretty much starving. It absolutely needs food, so it starts shutting down unnecessary processes in an order. So understand that you're going to have to gain back some mass, and it's not all going to be muscle, unfortunately. If your post show weight, or if your show weight, let's say, is like 165, you should expect to gain probably 8 pounds pretty quickly, something around that range, especially because water weight's going to make up a good amount of that. But you shouldn't be afraid of that first little bump, but the idea is to not turn it into a 2-week long binge, where you gain 20 pounds, of water, fat, and maybe a little lean tissue, probably not. But anyway, view the post-cut window kind of as a continuation of the prep. You want to keep it clinical. So you have to understand, hey, if I'm eating 1,800 calories, doing an hour of cardio a day leading up to the show, and then you kind of have your peak week, which is it's different for everybody. So the day after your show, you want to get back on it. You shouldn't be like, okay, well, my maintenance was 2,700 calories. I'm just going to start eating 2,700 calories. You're not going to work. Your new maintenance is actually far lower. It's probably more like, I don't know, if you were eating 1,800 calories, probably something around like 2,100 to 2,200. So maybe you just add in like 250 calories a day is your first initial big bump, or maybe 300 calories a day, depending on your experience level and your size. And you kind of run that for a week, and you taper cardio a little bit. I'm more of a fan of adding the food and then starting to taper back cardio rather than tapering back cardio, mostly because I like to eat. And I think it's important that in a resistance training individual that you're actually feeding your body with everything you need. Because once you get that low in calories, odds are you're going to be micronutrient deficient on something. So when we want to get back to gaining weight, I think that's probably the most important thing. Plus, cardio just becomes part of your routine. Just keep it going, man. It's good for you, good for your heart. Got to train the heart. And lastly, don't fear the water weight. You're going to put on this layer of water that you'll be able to see, and it's kind of terrifying at first, but understand that hell, you could take a diuretic and cut salt for 2 days and it's all gone again anyway. Don't do that, but you could. So in terms of pacing, I kind of got into this a little bit already, but don't give into too much temptation. So treat yourself after a show or after your diet or whatever, but just understand that you can fit some fun things in, some new things, some good things you missed in your diet, but if all you're doing is treating yourself, you're going to blow past this post-cut window and you're going to put on a lot of weight, and you're not going to love what you look at in the mirror every morning, which is really kind of what we're going for here. Set your actual time. Make a plan. That's the biggest thing. Like, people make a plan for their prep or for their diet as they diet down, and then once they're done, like, oh, I hit it. All right, no plan. Let's just get huge, bro. Don't want to do that. Set yourself a reasonable goal, whether it be, I want to put on 5 pounds post-show or 5 pounds post-diet pretty quick, and then make it slow. So for me, for example, I finished my last cut at about 174, 173 in August. It is now November 22nd, and I am 177, so I've only put on a few pounds. Now, that was a little bit depleted, but I'm shooting for pretty much like a pound a month, and I was nowhere near show lean, so I didn't do that like initial huge bump in weight or calories or anything. I was still probably 12, 14 pounds above what I would consider like a stage lean, so I'm going pretty slow. So if your weight's going up too fast, you don't like what you look at in the mirror, lower the calories a bit. Take out 100 or 50. And if you're not gaining any weight or you stall real quick, add 50 or 100. It's that simple, and just make sure you go slow. Don't rush it. Focus on driving up your gym performance. So you don't need to jump right into a huge, massive calorie surplus right away to see performance gains in the gym, because you're going to be so depleted, and your body's going to be starving for nutrients that just that initial bump in calories, and basically any bump in calories, are going to make you feel better in the gym, especially if you're adding them in the right way. The worst way you can do it would be like eat your 1,800 calorie diet and then have a scoop of ice cream before bed or something. Like, no, make it something productive. Add more carbs into your pre-workout meal, or a meal prior to your workout, something that's going to be utilized, make you feel better, get a better pump, all that. And then understand that food's not your only tool here. You have that initial bump in food, which I'm a fan of, but you can also play with your cardio, play with your steps, play with whatever other factors that you were adjusting on your way down in weight to then, bring yourself into a maintenance, or maybe, start to creep that weight back up. You don't employ all your tools out of the toolbox real quick. Take your time. So mentality is probably the biggest difficulty here. So a lot of people see that first spike in weight, especially if you treat yourself after a show, and they get freaked out. They'll gain like 8-9 pounds, and you have to understand you're depleted. As soon as your body gets those nutrients, it's starving, so it's going to use them for whatever it can, store them, hold water, hold salt, everything, and say, oh, thank God I finally got some of this. It's fine, don't panic. And then understand mentally that you're going from looking great shirtless to looking great clothed. A lot of people talk about the hell that is natural bodybuilding when, you cut down, you get tiny, but you look good shirtless, but no one would ever knew you lifted if you put a shirt on. And then you're like off season or bulking or whatever, you finally like look like you lift, when you're wearing a shirt. And people make comments and stuff, but in reality, you take your shirt off and you're like, okay, you don't look that great. So accept it, understand it, it's part of the growing process. And if you put on too much body fat, just lower the calories a little bit. You don't need a huge surplus to be building muscle. Return of your life balance. This is probably the biggest key. Spend time with your family, spend time with your girlfriend, wife, kids, whoever that you were likely neglecting during either a regular diet, a prep, or a cut, or whatever. Work on those too. So, and then lastly, going along that edge, obviously treat yourself socially. If your friends want to go out, now you can go out. You can have a beer here, or when they go out to eat at the restaurant, you don't have to be that guy who's just like, I ate my chicken and rice in the parking lot. I'll have a Diet Coke, and that's it. You know what I mean? You can afford to maybe get a burger, work it into your calories, be responsible with it. Just yesterday I went on a date. I got breakfast. I could have ordered anything off the menu. I went for a 3-egg omelet with turkey and green peppers, with a side of potatoes. So in reality, it all fit my diet. It was probably higher in oils and fats and whatever, but it's not a big deal. I woke up this morning, my weight was right on track, and I'm going to go hit legs today, and I feel great, Temptation, I talked about this before. You're going to want to stuff your face. I mean, when you finish a diet and you've prevented yourself from eating all the things that you wanted, you're going to want to stuff your face. You're going to want to transition to your full-on bulking diet. You have to keep in mind that this is not a light switch. You don't go from deficit bulk, right? You're not if your maintenance is 2,500, you don't go from 2,000 calories to 3,000 calories and say, well, I went from a 500 deficit to a 500 surplus, and that's how you do it. No, not how you do it. Understand that it's a fluid kind of spectrum of calories. And you don't need, hell, even when you're depleted, if you go right back to maintenance, you're going to be building muscle. So be patient and make sure you're clinical with your approach. You lay out a plan, you actually follow it, and that's where kind of working with a coach can help too, or just somebody to sanity check what you're doing. It doesn't even have to be a coach, it could be a friend. Lastly, the bright side. So all in all, your off season, your bulk, your main gain, whatever you want to call it, is going to be fun, right? So you get to incorporate foods that you missed. For me, it's Pop-Tarts. My favorite pre-workout meal was like a Pop-Tart with a scoop of protein, and like it worked out to the same calories as my previous pre-workout meal, and almost the same macros, but a lot more of the carbs come from sugar, and it's less fulfilling, and so you get to incorporate more of that because you have more calories to work with. So you also get the social gains, right? Repair your social life with your friends, family, wife, kids, whoever. You no longer have to say no when they say, hey, you want to go out and get a drink, a burger, ice cream, whatever. You can fit those things in now. It's much easier to hide non-meal plan meals when you have more calories to work with. Which is why you see all these professional bodybuilders having these massive cheat days, and it doesn't seem to affect them. They have more muscle, they have more a higher BMR. They simply can hide more stuff in their diet without it really truly affecting them. It'll affect performance slightly if they go overboard, but you can still afford more fun. Lastly, I like to make this analogy of puzzles versus Rubik's cubes. So a puzzle you can work on in different areas. If you stall out in one area and you're like, oh geez, I can't find this stupid piece, I can't find one that fits, go work on another area, right? So you have that freedom to move around. So if you're saying, okay, well, I'm not progressing on my bench press, well, maybe we can throw in a few more calories, or maybe it's a more rest, or we switch things up a little bit. Maybe you try some rest pause reps or a higher intensity technique, or whatever it is. You're more free to do that type of stuff when you're bulking, whereas cutting is more like a Rubik's Cube, where it's very prescribed and there's a set of algorithms or a set routine that you basically have to fall into and do every single day. You wake up at the same time every day, I get the same amount of steps every day, I eat the same macros, same meals every day, I do the same kind of prescribed workout every day, just because you're so closely monitoring all your different body metrics and making sure that you actually reach your goal by a given date. So you get a lot more freedom when you're bulking, and it's kind of nice. But really, that's about it, guys. I hope this quick run through of just some common pitfalls can maybe help somebody, or at least give you a quick summary of the things that I have seen over the years and I've experienced and I have screwed up. So as always, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Thanks a lot for watching.